Merry Christmas Eve. And while we are celebrating the Christmas season, as we are gathering with friends and family, hopefully as we are trying to have a spirit of thankfulness as well as a feeling of celebration, there are hard times in our country, and it is impossible to fully unplug. So hopefully you get some opportunities to connect with family members and do some great things and have some joy and celebrate the decorations and family time and all that kind of stuff. But as you are still trying to keep up with what's going on out there, we have a tidal wave of bad news coming in right now. If you are watching at all what's going on at the border, it is absolutely insane. People down all over in the border regions saying they've never seen anything like this. I have some of you feeding me information of what's going on with the border about Delta Airlines flying people into the United States around U.S. Customs and everything like that. We're seeing reports of people getting $5,000 gift cards at the border. We're talking about people who are getting asylum hearings for 2031. If you say 8 years into the future, yes, people are getting asylum hearings scheduled with an hour and day 8 years out. So they can just kind of chill out for 8 years, and then they're supposed to just kind of, on their honor, show up at these hearings. And we have millions and millions of people who have refused to show up at these hearings already that still haven't left. We have that, and then we have even the people that have real reasons why they're trying to flee their countries. And when we see the people coming across the border and the southern border right now, we're not seeing tons and tons of people you'd expect. We're not seeing Central Americans, South Americans. We're seeing that, yeah, of course. But we're seeing tons and tons of Indians. We're seeing tons and tons of Chinese. We're seeing lots of Middle Easterners coming across the border. Should we be concerned about these things? Because we don't know who these people are. Now, they come in and without any ID, and they come across the border and they say, I'm here for seeking asylum. They've been trained to do this. I'm seeking asylum in the United States because I'm afraid to go back to my home. And they come in and they just basically give their name, and they're given documentation in that name, whatever name they say their name is. What is their actual name? We don't know. Could they be war criminals over in Africa or something like that? Could be. We don't know. We're not checking any of that. We don't have any idea who these people coming across the border are. We have massive violence happening all across the southern United States, and a lot of the violence cropping up in cities is due to gangs related to border issues. So we have the border issues happening. We have China out there starting to pull back its exports of rare earth minerals. Now, all these fancy smart bombs that we're dropping all over the world in places like Yemen and other places need magnets, need a lot of critical components. They need lots of rare earth minerals that we don't manufacture, we don't make here in the United States. We don't dig them up here, and we don't process them here. You know where they process them? Where they mine them out of the ground? In China. We're still looking at like 90% of the world's rare earth minerals are coming and being processed in China. And we're highly, highly dependent upon them to continue supplying us with the rare earth minerals so that we can make all of our smart bombs and our smart aircraft and our stealth whatevers. If we don't have those things, we don't have anything. We have Russia out there talking about they're going to start threatening to ban the export of uranium to the United States, which we're being told that actually power plants inside the United States don't stockpile uranium. And we hear that there just really aren't stockpiles of uranium in the United States. So if we suddenly lost the uranium coming in and we can't purchase it outside the U.S., we're going to run out relatively quickly. I mean, we're talking about in a matter of months, we run out. That's serious. And when we're talking about almost half of all uranium production comes from Kazakhstan and Russia, and Kazakhstan is basically Russia. I mean, Russia light, right? I mean, they're part of the CIS, and they're all part of all that kind of stuff. They very much see themselves very closely allied with Russia, and they see themselves very closely allied with China too. So they're definitely not pro-USA. Their government is very much allied with forces that are opposed to the United States. We have all that. We have food issues happening. We just talked about what's going on in Brazil. They have a massive drought there. We talked about that yesterday. This is the worst since the early 1900s. That's a long time ago. They haven't seen the Amazon getting this dry. The Amazon River is drying up. We have the Panama Canal drying up. We have the Amazon River drying up. We have southeastern United States drying up with the Mississippi River at record low levels. We have some places that aren't supposed to be dry that are getting awfully dry. We are seeing some major weather pattern changes out there. And you know what? We're finding that we as a society are not really equipped for this. Because where it tends to rain is where we grow our food. And we expect it to continue to rain there. And if it doesn't, we have problems. And we're seeing flooding, heavy, nasty, horrible flooding happening in places that doesn't usually flood. We're getting hammered in some places. And this is going worldwide. We're having issues with coffee production. We're having issues with cocoa production, so chocolate. We're having issues with soybeans, corn, wheat. And you are going to be seeing these prices affecting you in the near future. Not to talk about beef prices too much, but beef prices are about to go through the roof. Everyone is saying it. All of the meat packers all see it coming. That's why they're offering 2.5 to 5 times the price for cattle that are going to be delivered, this coming year as opposed to right now. The prices that they're paying now, they're saying we'll give you a whole lot more money if you bring them back in 6 months or 12 months from now. That says that they're putting their money where their mouth is. They believe prices are going to be astronomically higher on beef going forward in the next number of months. We're seeing egg prices are already spiraling upwards. Why are they spiraling upwards? Well, because we're slaughtering all of the chickens. When you kill the chicken of the golden egg, you don't get any more golden eggs. And when we talked about topping over 15 million egg-laying chickens in the last few months, this is serious. This is not quite as bad as last year, but let's just say we're on pace to restart the same type of crisis. And usually bird flu doesn't go away until, late spring. Late spring, then bird flu just goes poof, I don't know, they migrate up to Canada and becomes Canada's problem or something. I don't know. But what we are seeing is while the weather's bad and birds are inside, I don't know why bird flu is so much worse in the wintertime, but apparently it is. And we're getting these positive tests out there, and the USDA is going out there and culling millions of chickens at a time. And we're not talking about meat birds here. Nobody cares about meat birds. If they slaughter tons and tons of meat birds, that's not a really big deal because they just raise some more. The problem is when we're talking about egg-laying hens, this is a problem because it takes a long time to replace them compared to meat birds, which takes basically no time to replace. Okay, but when we're talking about cattle, the cattle herd, that takes a very long time. That takes many, many years. When we're talking about egg-laying hens, we're talking 6 months to a year to replace a lot of these laying hens. And so that is serious to be looking at. So we're expecting to see egg prices continue to climb, and if we continue to see the cullings of chickens, which has not slowed down yet. I know you and I are hoping to drink some eggnog and celebrate with family, sing some Christmas carols, go to church, light some candles. Hopefully the kids ahead of you don't light the seats on fire. if they do, well, then make sure you get it on video, because then you can become a TikTok star or YouTube short star if you have a video of the kids setting the chairs on fire at your church. But hopefully that doesn't happen. And that's what we have on our minds. But the USDA is out there slaughtering millions and millions of chickens in order to protect, democracy and stuff like that. So that's what's happening. The government is out there doing what it does best, which is suppressing things and killing things. And they're doing that very, very effectively when it comes to chickens here. And so we got a lot going on out there. Most of it's not being talked about in the mainstream press. What's happening at the Panama Canal, we have a lot of ships backing up. They got a little bit of a reprieve. They were expecting to drop the ship throughput down to 20 ships per day in January. It looks like they're going to be able to keep it at 22 ships. But remember, 38 to 40 is actually the regular number. That's how much they normally have going through the locks of the Panama Canal. They're going to stay at 22, which is almost half the capacity of what there was before the drought. But they have a multi-year drought going on there, and the lake that feeds those locks is just drying up. They're running out of water. And it's not going to get good until hopefully late next summer, when the rainy season comes again. Hopefully the lake will get refilled. But they had a bad year this year and a real bad year the year before. So it's not looking good for Panama Canal. The Suez Canal, nobody wants to go through the Suez Canal, because if you go through the Suez Canal, you have to go through the Red Sea. If you go through the Red Sea, you have to go through right past Yemen, where the Yemenis, the Houthis, are sitting there shooting at everybody that moves. And they are firing rockets at ships, and it's really hard to protect ships. I mean, you can get most of the missiles, but I mean, who wants to go through and get shot at? I mean, you can be relatively confident that the United States and the French and the Italians and Australians are going to shoot down the missiles that are being fired at you, but do you really want to put yourself there? Do you really want to put your $100 million boat through that? You probably don't. And insurance companies don't want you doing that either. And so, I mean, they don't want you burning stuff on your property. They don't want you doing anything interesting on your property for insurance. And they certainly, when it comes to ships, don't want you taking your ship through an active war zone. So how do you make a zone stop being a war zone? Well, the Saudis have been bombing Yemen for the past 8 years, trying to turn Yemen into not a war zone, and so far hasn't worked out. So they're using British-trained fighter pilots. They're using British equipment and United States equipment, and they're dropping tons and tons of British and United States munitions all over Yemen. We're talking about tens of thousands of bombs that have been dropped in tens of thousands of missions. Lots and lots of bombs being dropped all over the place, and the Houthis are still there shooting rockets and drones at people's ships as they go by. So, not really sure how that's going to work out. We see other countries pulling back what they're exporting, right? We see Kazakhstan pulling back its exports of oil and gas. They're not going to export for years, and that's put some other countries like Tajikistan in a serious bind right now. We're seeing India still refusing to export any rice, when the number one world's exporter of rice is refusing to export rice for almost a year now. That's kind of telling you where things are going. Things are not heading in a good direction. This, I don't mean to be a wet blanket on anybody's Christmas. Have joy, have peace. Find that in God, find that in family, find the good things in life and enjoy them. But also be getting ready, because friends, things are not going to be looking as good next year as they did this past year. I know, you're like, but this past year was really bad. Yes, friends, it was, but things are not going to be getting better in the near term. All right, friends, if you have updates that you want to send in, please do keep those coming in. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.